Good afternoon and welcome. This is episode 23 of the 4x3 podcast, but today I'm just going to keep the resolution as it is, and I'm using my Nikon D3500. That's beautiful male kangaroo. Oh fucking hell. I just got bitched out by a cicada. Oh, we're going this way anyway. Now, since the holidays, well, they sort of haven't ended, but in reality, it's slowed down on the highway a little bit. We've sort of seen, I don't know, the traffic increased by the trucks, or rather, lots more noise happening with the trucks, which actually brings on a lot more tiredness for me. And with tiredness, I actually don't get much done. Where there's a lack of motivation and actually a lack of doing anything realistically. But I feel okay right now. Today I'm doing a little bit of a fast. My version of a fast is always iced coffee, which isn't the greatest thing in the world, but just not having food is always a fun thing for me, every so often anyways, but and as my health goes, I'm not very fit, but I am losing weight, so I will have to pause gradually here as I go around my local beautiful reserve. I'll stop here momentarily because this hand stabilizer is quite heavy on the old arms. Okay, so I was at a standstill with my weight loss, but right now, slow increments of losing weight. Now, if we can try and find a good tree, we can actually clamp this device onto it. And my father gave me this beautiful thing. It's another cool little thing, I guess, where you can clamp it onto tables, or anything really. There's not much of a 360 degree, or there's not like a sort of a spherical move. Just butchering that. It doesn't move around too much, so you can only go left and right realistically, and up and down. So some spots it's hard to actually clamp it to. And there goes a hair. I can't see it. So yeah, right now I've got this clamped onto a tree, which is interesting. It's a dead tree, so I sort of, could fall on my head. Actually, the limb right now is absolutely snapped off, and I'm just here standing right under the zone. It's just propped up to that part of the tree, so if it decided to fall, it's going to probably crush me to death. That's probably a bit dramatic, but you never know. So yeah, with this weight loss journey, I started out at 106 kilograms. It's not the highest weight I've ever been, but it is relatively an uncomfortable weight, if we really have to refer to weight as, being healthy and whatnot. But I'm down below 85 kilograms, and when I first started, I was stuck at 95 kilograms, and then I had to actually motivate myself to do something about it. I don't have that depressing, demotivated thing of you know, sweets and chips and all that are controlling my brain, so I can actually stop and start the weight loss at any period of time. And what this means for me and anyone else realistically is that you are not really controlled by the food you eat in that regard, and you can actually be mindful and get up and actually decide, I'm going to do this. Whereas if you're at a higher weight and you're eating chips and chocolate and sweets and soft drink having and all that, you're probably going to more likely be controlled by those unhealthy habits, and it would become easier just to eat like shit than to actually go out and try. But once you get your brain into that mode, and it will come by chance or by accident like it did for me, I've tried to force myself to actually do a weight loss thing with just forcing myself to do it. But in reality, it doesn't really work that way. And most people will probably say that you stumble upon that stuff by accident, whether or not you fall into ill health or whether or not it just happens out of nowhere. And that also happens with me fasting. That also happens out of nowhere. When I fast out of nowhere, I've mentioned that all before anyways, and I'm hoping that the more weight I lose and the less fat I have on my body, not to actually get rid of all the fat in my body, but to have less of it strangling my organs, so then I'm at a healthy and comfortable weight, if we're going to refer to that again, and that way I'll feel, hopefully, absolutely more motivated to start going out and walking again. And like I said before, trying to do anything when you can't get a good night's sleep is the problem. Now I'll say this, the number one failure for weight loss, I would say, is not getting any sleep. And of course you would have to take in various factors, and one of those factors include actually looking after yourself. But I've been there, and to me the traffic noise can really fuck with my head. And it's not something I enjoy, and realistically they probably shouldn't sell properties that are next to highways. And the residents here, they actually have lived here for a long time, and I don't know how they do it, but sometimes I'm good and sometimes I'm not. And that's the part that sucks about trying to get sleep around here. And that could be the same with anywhere, like when I used to live in the suburbs, having dogs barking all night and random sirens, and you can't have it too perfect unless you have money, unfortunately. Well, the price of freedom is pretty much giving up your entire life and your possessions and everything like that, and actually taking a backpack and just disappearing and trying your hardest to live with absolutely nothing, which is still on my mind, and I would absolutely love to do that. But now I'm in part tied down. It's not too bad, but hyper-focused I will be soon. I've always got to constantly find a new space to actually sit down I probably should set the autofocus, the auto ISO and whatnot, but I've got this beautiful tree. Try to stick to this angle because I've got the microphone on. But look at that. It's a nice tree. Unfortunately it has fallen. Has succumbed to a death, almost. And this is just a really nice spot if I go for a little bit of a wander and try and... There goes here. But we don't need to worry about that. Lovely little spot. And one of the things that I'm having problems with at the moment is having all the old habits come back because we have a power or new service to this new property that we're looking after. We don't use much power there, just the freezer and, you know, a light every so often, and well, I just started trying to take old computer parts and make low-end gaming machines and sell them. One I've already done today, and yeah, I made a couple dollars, but it's a fun little hobby. But I can easily adapt to not having that and simply just turn off at some point and just not get involved with it. But soon I will be getting a new car and the old one is either going to someone or I'm going to actually get the computer fixed on it, because the computer or some sort of electrical issue has caused the car not to start, and no crank, absolutely nothing, and all the mechanical side of it seems to be in check, except the electricals. Might relate to the ignition barrel, the key not being recognized, but a couple of mechanics have suggested that the computer has suddenly died, which brings me to an interesting thought. We know someone who lives, you know, in Geelong and whatnot, and they're saying a couple of people have had troubles with their vehicles lately, that they've needed to replace their computers, and it was expensive. Now this is just to get the locking to work and everything else to function, but I'm more trying to get the car to start and not care about any of the other things that come with the car's safety, other than not getting into a car crash. So that's something I'm going to work out. Anyway, the interesting thought in my head is, what if the recent electrical storm, the dry lightning, or at least we had recently, which killed our foxes, well, which foxes came in and killed our chickens, and like viciously killed them on a very stormy night, and after that we actually had our car just stop out of nowhere. So I would like to theorize that what if the electrical storm caused people's cars to actually fail? I know to charge my camera, but I just didn't bother doing that. It's another year gone by, and the great part about it is when you don't actually actively go online and look through social media and take a look at the world, you can actually take a wander around in a quiet place and enjoy it a bit more. And the reason being is because the news media, or whatever goes on social media, a lot of stuff spreads. So people share this and share that, and there's all sorts of clickbait content and all sorts of weird crap that goes on there. And it might say something about rural regions and properties and all sorts of nonsense. And then I just go for a wander. And I go, well, that's good and all, but I fucking hate these webs, but I love the spiders. That's good and all, but you know, I've been walking around here for 4 years, and whatever garbage you've been saying online has had no effect on me. And oftentimes it doesn't have an effect at all. It's just garbage. And people just sit online and go on their computers and just type away on their keyboards, and then they never leave, and they're stuck in that world. It's just unrealistic to live that way. And believe me, I know this because I've been in that situation, and I could end up in that situation again. And the more I turn the computer on, the more I feel that way. The one thing that's funny too, I'm wandering around this area, right? And in reality, while I hold this, the more I feel like I'm getting lost and going in circles. But it is very lucky that this beautiful area is actually it's just one way here, one way there, and you can never really get lost. Never truly get lost, but anyway. Oh, this is a beautiful country. Oh, I love gum trees, but also don't like them at all. No, that's a lie. My opinion is more focused on the fact that on my own property I don't want to have like too many gum trees. I like to have you know, a couple of pines and a couple of gum trees and a couple of, I don't know, Banksias, and I've got what's that bloody one? It's already gone, but yeah. I think it has like purple flowers and sort of vines. Not vines, what's it called? Ferns, almost, but it's not a fern tree, I don't think. And I've got these nice acacias as well, which are growing very, very quickly. And anyone who wants to start gardening in their local area, in the community, I highly recommend joining some sort of gardening club or getting to know people in the area who are heavily into gardening. Because what you will find is they'll have an abundance of seeds, plants and all sorts of things, and if they're very good people, they will share that with you. I know that sometimes it's difficult because you're trying to feed your own family, and it's hard to give a lot of stuff away. But like for me, when I grew an abundance of silver beet, well, I mean, it wasn't an abundance, but at the time, I was able to give my neighbour some of that silver beet when I wasn't eating it, because it's going to just, you know, rot away and sit there, and when I'm not having it, then I give some away. And I actually used a lot of that silver beet, a lot of it, I made silver beet lasagna, and by that I mean, well, vegetarian lasagna. By that I mean I used the silver beet as lasagna sheets, and worked alright, yeah. It's probably not for everyone, but you know, that's just life. Yeah. Oh. And having this backpack too, sort of like a lovely little pain in the backside, but not really. It's 50-50. And I know I should have left that at home, to be honest, but what you gonna do? Every now and then I feel like I need to pull out a treadmill and actually spend the time I'm not using on anything else to increase my chances of weight loss. But then I start to remember that I could just go for a walk, or in reality I know it's a better thing, because I sort of changed my head and essentially started thinking that instead of people just sitting in a gym or, you know, sitting in their living room, they'll get an experience by going for a walk, or a jog, or whatever you like to do. And it can make you feel a little bit more positive and a little bit more happier. If you can get into that mindset, another hair, motherfucker. If you can get into that mindset, that's pretty decent. And I mean, gyms are alright. I haven't gone in years, and I've basically just said gyms aren't that great, but if you want to chill and whatnot, a gym is okay. But I don't know, going out there and seeing nice places, and like, this is alright because I have it here, but a lush rainforest is more appealing. And as I end my walk, I end my discussion. Thank you for anyone listening, and I am out.